Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are still working on King Lear, and today we get to hear from Edmund the Bastard in Act 2, Scene 1. But yesterday we just finished off to Act 1, Scene 4, and there's an Act 1, Scene 5. So a quick recap of the things that are going on. King Lear is retired with 100 knights, but he was ripping apart his daughter Goneril's place. She didn't like it. She called him out on it. He said, never mind, mic drop, leaving the room. Gets very upset that she wants him to get rid of at least half of his knights. So he storms off to Regan's, thinking that he can stay there with his 100 knights. While he's on, he leaves at the end of Act 1, Scene 4, but Goneril and Albany get to have a moment where, first of all, she lets him know that she is very disappointed in how manly he is not. She wishes that he had been stronger and more forceful in the whole thing. But she also sends off letters to Regan to let Regan know what is going on and to make sure that the two sisters stay on the same page against their father to not let him keep these 100 knights. So Act 1, Scene 5 is a real brief scene, and it starts out with King Lear giving letters to Kent, who, remember, is in disguise because Kent was banished, but still wants to look out for the king, so he's in disguise. Lear gives Kent letters to take to Gloucester, describing what's happening and asking for some help, whatever, and sends him off. So Kent is on his way to Gloucester's place. And then the Fool and King Lear have a little exchange where the Fool is like trying to be foolish and also still sort of make fun of King Lear for having given away his whole kingdom, that sort of thing. And King Lear is sort of going in and out of being responsive to that and maybe possibly regretting the scene that he just had with his daughter. He does have the line, I did her wrong. And then he mentions at one point that he's going to go against his nature and be so kind to father, which we presume is what he's planning on doing with Regan. And then he and the Fool have just a real quick moment where they share a joke. The Fool starts it and Lear delivers the punchline. And then Lear is like, please, please, please don't let me be going mad. And then he leaves the scene and we find out the horses are ready, and so they're off in the direction of Gloucester's place. So now in Act 2, Scene 1, we are at Gloucester's and we get to hear from Edmund the Bastard today, but he starts off the scene. It's him and Curran, who's just a small character, could be, gentleman number 1 or something like that, comes in from different sides, and Edmund learns from Curran, first of all, that Cornwall and Regan are on their way to Gloucester's place, and also that there's a lot of rumors floating around that Cornwall and Regan are going to go to war with Albany and Goneril. So this is all very new and exciting news to Edmund, and Curran leaves, and Edmund gets a brief moment by himself because, if you remember in the subplot, he wants to set up his brother Edgar as being a potential murderer of his father Gloucester, so that his father will legitimize Edmund, disown Edgar, and then Edmund gets the whole inheritance, that sort of a thing. So he has just found out that that the Duke of Cornwall is coming to Gloucester's place, and that Cornwall and Albany might be going to war soon. So he says, the Duke be here tonight, the better, best. This weaves itself perforce into my business. My father hath set guard to take my brother, and I have one thing of a queasy question which I must act. Briefness and fortune work. Brother! A word! Descend! Brother, I say! Edgar comes in. My father watches. Oh, sir, fly this place. Intelligence is given where you are hid. You have now the advantage of the night. Have you not spoken against the Duke of Cornwall? He's coming hither, now, in the night, in the haste, and Regan with him. Have you nothing said upon his party against the Duke of Albany? Advise yourself. It's a weird little bit of a monologue. But what happens here, the first bit before Edgar comes in is he's really excited that Cornwall is coming. He's like, oh, this works really well with my plot that I'm going to put together, because my dad, Gloucester, is watching Edgar, like has everybody set on guard to keep an eye out on Edgar, because Gloucester thinks Edgar wants to kill him, because Edmund wrote a fake letter saying that Edgar wanted to kill Gloucester, even though Edgar doesn't. So he calls Edgar in, and he's like, oh my God, you got to get out of here. Things are looking really bad. You have to run, and you have to run away now, because you said bad things against Cornwall, didn't you? And because you said these horrible things against him, he's coming here now to make you answer for those things. So now Edgar gets this fear in him. He had the previous fear in him that Gloucester was mad at him for some unknown reason. So then Edmund the bastard is like, okay, or Edgar's like, I don't think I said anything bad. And Edmund's like, okay, I'm sorry, we got to make this look good. So I'm going to draw my sword, and we're going to pretend to have a fight, and then, you know, whatever. And Edgar's like, what is going? So finally Edmund kind of like shoves Edgar out of the room while his sword is drawn, just shouting like, you know, villain, traitor, and stuff like that, putting on a show for the people in the next room, hoping that they overhear some of this stuff. Edgar like runs away in fear, and Edmund is like, okay, I gotta make this look good, and he wounds himself in the arm to make it look like there was actually a fight between himself and Edgar, and then starts shouting like, Dad, Dad, come and help me, come and save me from my horrible, hideous brother. And, you know, servants and Gloucester finally come in, and he's like, look, I'm wounded. And they're like, where's Edgar? And he's like, look, I'm wounded. And they're like, where's Edgar? And he's like, he ran away. I chased him off because he wanted to, well, no, I can't say it. And Gloucester's like, say it. And then he does in tomorrow's monologue. So I'll see you then for that. Mwah.